Tottenham update to bring to you today. We're going to start off talking of a injury update to Mohammed Kudus. And ITK is on social media saying that Mohammed Kudus was doing his own individual sessions yesterday, he is still yet to return to full training with the squad. Interestingly enough, we've seen pictures doing the rounds of Maddison looking like he's already training with the squad. It's mad to think that he's training with the squad before Kudus. But with Kudus not training with the squad yet, like now or here on Tuesday, I find it hard to believe he's going to be playing on Sunday.
He might be involved. It depends when he's fully back. Obviously, we heard, I think, obviously Frank was in charge when he got injured, wasn't he? And he said he's aiming for that March international break to be fit. And what he was implying there was he was going to be ready, kind of touch and go for that international break, and he'll have those a couple of weeks to rest and be ready for the when the international break is over. So it's a bit of a dampener that the international break is now over and he's still not back and he's still only doing individual training.
How many times have we seen these kind of updates though?
We also, part of the ITK was that he's not rushing himself back because he doesn't want to injure himself for the World Cup. So he's being very careful, which is obviously not a great situation. Obviously, I understand it. World Cup's massive for players. That's the pinnacle of their career. So I understand that he doesn't want to, rush himself back in case he re-injures himself. But if we weren't in a World Cup season, would he have maybe been training already and maybe with the chance to play on Sunday? Is what it is, I guess. What
but look, if there's any kind of worry of a recurrence of an injury, regardless of the World Cup, I'd prefer him to take a bit more time, because what if you come back for one game and then get injured and you're out for the rest of the season? Like, that doesn't do us any favours either. So I'd rather have him back in a few games' time, back to full fitness, and he can attack the last 5 games of the season, as opposed to bring him back now and have a risk of injury.
Yeah, but maybe he's being extra careful. Maybe he's he is ready, but he's just making sure that he's being overly cautious. And who knows? I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying that's a possibility. Look, let's just hope that he's in place for the run-in, because I think he's going to be such an important player for us in the last 7 games. I think for De Zerbi as well, the way he plays, I think Kudus is going to be crucial for that. He's really our only winger that we have in the whole squad, isn't he? That's Premier League standard. So let's hope. Look, let's hope he's involved on Sunday. You never know if he's back in training today or this week. He might be available for Sunday in some capacity, but it looks as like we definitely won't be available to start, which is a massive blow.
Yeah, I mean, I would hazard a guess to say there's a chance for him to be in the matchday squad, but even if he is in the matchday squad, it'll be like, just get some minutes in your legs towards the end of the game. I don't think he'll play a significant part in the game this weekend.
We'll see. I mean, at the moment, he's individual training, but we'll see by the end of the week.
Yeah. All right, so that's that. Let's talk about Vicario now, as there's been a significant update from Fabrizio Romano regarding him. Fabrizio says that Vicario is now expected to leave Tottenham this summer. Conversations between Inter Milan and Vicario have been positive. Vicario is focused on helping Spurs out as much as possible before the summer window, and then he is ready to return to Italy regardless of, I'm sure he's talking about whether Spurs stay up or down.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's something that's been rumbling on for months now in terms of Vicario. I think this is probably the best course of action. I don't think he's a goalkeeper that will fit what Roberto De Zerbi wants to do. I think there are a number of keepers out there that probably could come in and, much better ball playing out the ability, playing out the back. So De Zerbi needs someone very comfortable on the ball, and Vicario is not that. So I think this is the best way to go. Yeah,
I think things have gone wrong for him, unfortunately, and I think his standing at Tottenham has fallen dramatically, especially in the last few months. Obviously, we don't really know how much the hernia injury has maybe played a part in that. It'll be interesting to see if he has a really strong end to the season, hernia-free, and he's injury-free, and we see him back to his best, whether attitudes will change towards him, and maybe the club might think, actually, do we need to get rid of him? Maybe, will De Zerbi like him? So I think the end of the season will be telling. I don't think the decision's been made, but right now I think we've lost faith in him. He's maybe grown a bit disgruntled with first of all the club and maybe the lack of trust that he's got from us. I think because he's part of the leadership group. He had a brilliant definitely first season. And then, well, I guess first 2 seasons he was pretty good, wasn't he? Especially when he came back from injury last year, he was pretty good. So I think maybe he feels like he's earned a bit more trust than the club are giving him. So maybe it's also going back to Italy, where there's going to be more eyes on him for the international team. Maybe he thinks that's probably best for him. Maybe he's more comfortable there. And Inter's a good club as well. Inter's a very big club. So fair enough if he wants to go back there. But I think these last 7 games, he could still, I think, earn that trust back potentially if he has a really good performances. But I wonder if we're looking at keepers like James Trafford potentially, or Verbruggen from Brighton as potential replacements.
Yeah, look, I've said multiple times this season, Verbruggen is a very good goalkeeper. Does have a mistake or two in him, like we've seen a couple of weeks ago for Brighton, but he's a young keeper. I think he's exactly what De Zerbi likes in terms of a profile from a keeper. I think even if Vicario has a strong end to the season, I'd still look to move him on, and you might even be able to push a few more million out of Inter Milan as well. So there's always going to be those question marks on Vicario. His ability to defend his box from set pieces, I think with the growing importance of set pieces and particularly corners in the Premier League, I think that's a big flaw in Vicario's game in terms of his strength from being able to use his body to really kind of push off those defenders and not get crowded out. I think he's a massive that's a massive flaw in his game, and as well as the playing out the back and being able to calmly being able to play his way through. So I think that's always going to be a flaw in his game as well. So I would prefer just to move him on now and look for another keeper. Another keeper I've been actually really impressed with is the Southampton keeper, Peretz from,
He's a brave keeper as well.
He's looked really good. He's good on the ball. He's a really good shot stopper. He looks really strong from defending set pieces as well. I think Spurs should really have a look at him.
He's also good at playing out the back as well.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I said that. Yeah,
he's also good with his feet. So, I mean, I'm sure they'd take a look at everyone. No, there's no secrets anymore in football. But he's obviously one who was at Bayern Munich before.
Yeah.
Obviously, he couldn't really displace Neuer or anything like that. But he's, a lot of people have thought very highly of him. For some reason or another, he's found his way to Southampton. But he had a very good game on the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, he was fantastic on the weekend. But I've been keeping a close eye on him this season for Southampton, and they absolutely love him down there. The Southampton fans are singing his praises every week. And
he's been there in Jan, or is it he's been there this season?
I think he's been there for the whole season. Maybe it was in Jan. I can't remember, but I've been keeping an eye on him for the last few months. And there's these Southampton guys on YouTube, and they're just like, wow, this guy is way too good for us. Like, this guy is going to be going to a much bigger club sooner rather than later. And why can't that club be us?
Could be.
I really think Spurs should look at him, man.
I'm sure they have.
Well, they should continue to look at him, and they should consider him seriously for the role, because I think you look at his frame and his build as well. He just looks like a Premier League goalkeeper, doesn't he?
Definitely. Look, all I can say is on the weekend it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So, and there's a reason Bayern wanted him at the time.
Yeah. And then there's him, there's Verbruggen. Someone's mentioned in the comments Trafford as well, who had a very good cup final.
I think he might be underrated, Trafford, because of how he started the season. Had quite a couple of bad games, but I think he's whenever I've seen him for City up after that, he's been pretty good.
Yeah.
So I wonder. I think one of his big attributes is his ability to play out the back, and I think I think most clubs seem very interested in him. Like Newcastle nearly signed him in the summer. Whatever we want to say about our concerns about him, everyone seems to be very interested in him. He keeps getting touted for good moves, and obviously he got the City move, and then Donnarumma came in. So I wonder if they'd be open to letting him go this summer.
Be interesting. It all depends on how long they think Donnarumma's going to stick around for, because they brought him in for a reason, and then they quickly replaced him with Donnarumma, and Donnarumma's obviously one of, if not the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, and potentially, you could look at him as signing of the season in the Premier League this year. He's been that good. So there could be an opportunity to get Trafford if he's desperate for that first team football straight away. So that's that. What are we going to look at next? Next, there's been a report on Pape Matar Sarr. out in Turkey, not the most reliable sources out in Turkey, I'll tell you that.
Every time.
But they're saying that Galatasaray and Fenerbahce are both holding interest in Pape Matar Sarr for a summer transfer. What do you reckon about Pape? Does he have a future? I mean, he's still only 23. He's still so young, but we look at him like he's older.
Obviously, he has the future, but there is a bit of an elephant in the room this summer when it comes to how many players we have in that position. And obviously, we signed Gallagher. We now have, obviously, Gray's been outperforming Sarr. We have Sarr. We have Bentancur. Bergvall as well can play in the number 8 position. Obviously, you've also got Paulinho and Basuma, but all assuming they're going to be off in the summer. They can obviously could be number 8s as well. So even if Paulinho and Basuma leave, you know, there's probably, if we're going to look to sign players of different profiles, there's going to have to be a bit of movement. So out of Sarr, Gallagher, Gray, Bergvall, and Sarr, Gallagher, Gray, and Bergvall and Bentancur, you know, you might have to let 2 of them leave. Who, especially with no Europe next season, and who's going to leave? I mean, Gallagher just signed. Is he going to leave? I mean, maybe, but he did just sign. Gray's been our best performing midfielder.
You'd think it'd be Basuma and Bentancur.
Bergvall ain't going anywhere. We don't want him to go anywhere. I mean, Basuma's we think is going to go, but I mean, if we get a good offer, we might have to consider it.
The thing is with Pape, I think the next 2 midfielders at the door are going to be Basuma and Bentancur.
And Paulinho.
Yeah, and Paulinho. But with Pape Matar Sarr, like, does he have the qualities required to flourish in this De Zerbi team? We know he's got a lot of energy. We know he can get up and down the pitch. But does he have that technical ability that De Zerbi needs from his midfielders?
I think he does. I think he was quite good under Ange for most of it, to be honest, especially at the start anyway. I mean, most people were good at the start. But I think, by and large, I think he adapted quite well to what Ange wanted. So I think the little short passing game, I think he's been improving on certain aspects. I know he's not had the best season, but who has? I think he definitely has the ability, for sure. I think he definitely has the ability. He's still quite young. I would like to keep him around, but at the end of the day, if we're planning a squad seriously and we want different profiles and we want different kinds of players, we can't afford to have so many number 8s. That's a reality. Something's going to have to give, and the cost of signing Gallagher for big wages, like we did, is we're going to have to move someone on who we quite like. And I think it might be Sarr.
Yeah, it'd be very frustrating. Like, if I asked you today, like, who would you prefer to keep, Sarr or Gallagher? Who would you keep?
I mean, obviously, Sarr, I like Sarr more because he's been at Tottenham longer.
But who's a better player?
Tottenham shirt. From what they've shown in their career, Gallagher. But what they've shown at Tottenham, Sarr. But have we seen the best of Gallagher?
Yeah, it's hard to judge Gallagher in a Spurs shirt because he's coming in literally our worst period ever.
Exactly. So, if I was making the decision tomorrow, I probably would sell Sarr, unfortunately. But I think surely he can find a better team than Fenerbahce and Galatasaray.
Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you?
And surely we can get decent money for him.
Yeah. What is decent money? How much do you reckon someone's picking up Sarr for?
Between 30 and 40?
Yeah, I think that's fair. 35 million for Pape.
I think there's a potentially 50, 60 million pound midfielder in there. But
yeah,
unfortunately, the form he's on, you can't really demand that right now.
I mean, when he first broke in under Conte and he had that performance in the San Siro, and, you know, he's shown in kind of periods that, wow, this guy can be an unbelievable player. But I still feel since joining Spurs, he hasn't shown that consistency, hasn't shown a consistent enough. Like, he's had like patches, but never over the course of a season. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's true, and that's the reality. That's why we signed a midfielder. But obviously, I think I really like Sarr. I like his mentality. I like his personality. I think he's a very good player as well. I think he's got bags and bags of potential, and I think if we let him go, we might regret it. But then again, we have to let someone go.
Yeah,
and it might have to be Sarr, which I wouldn't want to do, but it might be necessary.
It all depends on who you're bringing in, doesn't it? Because you need to upgrade. If you can upgrade on anyone in the squad, I'll be more than happy to get rid. There's not one player in the squad that I feel like if we can upgrade on them, then why not? Right. So I think this time for he's a good attitude around the squad. You know, He walks around with a smile on his face, a bit sentimentality about, what we think he can be in the future. Like, forget all that. If we can upgrade on someone, let's go and do it.
That's why I was like Gallagher going for all those intangibles.
I know, it's true. But anyway, that's that. What do you guys think about Pape? Would you like to keep him around, or do you think he is definitely upgradable and because he hasn't reached maybe what we thought he would have reached by this age, but he is still very young and he's still got a lot of growing to do. Let's talk about Radu, as there's been some more reports on Radu Dragusin out in Italy, and they're saying Tottenham are expected to look for around 25 million euros if they are to sell Radu Dragusin this summer. And Serie A side Fiorentina are taking an interest. They were interested in back in January, and Fabio Paratici is expected to revive the interest in him as when this summer comes around.
Fabio's man.
Yeah.
You can have him, Fabio. You can have him.
There was a report yesterday that Spurs are interested in a Fiorentina centre-back.
No, it's Moise Keane.
Oh, Moise Keane. Yeah, that was it. Moise Keane. So maybe there's a bit of a deal to do there.
Maybe.
Fabio loves a deal like that.
I would take that 100%. I'd rather have Moise Keane at centre-back than Dragusin. So, yeah, I would like to sell him. I think, for me, not good enough for Tottenham. I don't think De Zerbi's going to like him at all. I think he's nowhere near good enough for what De Zerbi wants to do. I think same with Ange. He didn't like playing under Ange, really. Albeit, obviously, I'm being quite harsh because he has had the ACL, and it's obviously a very difficult injury to come back from.
He's no De Zerbi centre-back, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, just judging from what I've seen from him, I don't think he's going to be comfortable playing in the system that we're going to want to play.
Yeah, I mean, if we would have carried on in the same kind of route of Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor, I think Radu could have grown into a team like that. But now we're going back to the high line, back to attacking football. Yeah, Radu needs to be sold. That's the reality. Next up, let's talk about some potential incomings. Fisnik Asllani, Builder reporting that Tottenham and Chelsea are keen to bring in Hoffenheim's Fisnik Asllani to the Premier League in the summer. Both Tottenham and Chelsea could pose a problem for Borussia Dortmund and their efforts to sign the striker, as Borussia Dortmund are looking to potentially move on Sergio Guirassy if the price is right this summer. The Kosovo international has scored 10 goals and has 8 assists in 29 matches in the Bundesliga this season.
Bundesliga tax, though. You can
say that about every Liga.
Yeah. I got confused because this isn't the guy that was at Inter. But I think he was, who was that? Asllani, that was a midfielder, centre mid.
No, it's a different guy.
Yeah, I liked him. I think he was quite good, but I think he's moved on from Inter now. But this is a different guy. I don't know much about this guy.
That guy from Inter is the guy we were linked with under Conte.
Yeah, I quite liked him. But Fisnik Asllani, I don't know too much about him, not going to lie.
Yeah. Look, he's a young striker. I believe last year he was in the Bundesliga 2 and absolutely smashed it out. The year before he was back in the Bundesliga, not as strong. But yeah, he seems to be a player growing. But again, I don't really know too much about him. But it probably says a lot if the reports are true that if Dortmund want him to replace Sergio Guirassy, he must have something about him.
Yeah, but at Dortmund, they like to develop those players, don't they?
Yeah, they usually do a good job at it.
True.
And finally, Spurs are looking to go back in for Crysencio Summerville. There's a report here from Team Talk saying that Tottenham are leading the race to sign Summerville ahead of the summer transfer window, and they face competition from a host of Premier League clubs. And there's a publication in Italy that are saying that West Ham are willing to cash in on Summerville for a fee as low as 30 million euros in the summer, amid widespread interest from the winger. Villa, Brentford, Bournemouth, Everton and Tottenham are eyeing moves for the Dutchman, while Marseille, Napoli, Atalanta and Villarreal are also interested in Summerville.
Who isn't?
Yeah, look, we were obviously interested in him in January, weren't we? And they didn't want to let him go, which was, and ever since that, he's gone on leaps and bounds this season. He was having such a poor season up until that moment, and then he just clicked into gear. Do you feel like this is the guy we should be signing in summer?
I think he's shown, definitely in the last few months, that he's at home at the Premier League, because I think there was definitely doubts about that. We know he killed it in the Championship for Leeds. He was brilliant. And even in the Premier League for Leeds, he was quite good. But went down to Championship, blew him out of the water. Ever since he's gone to West Ham, though, been very inconsistent, hasn't really got his rhythm going. He's struggled for regular goals and assists and threat. But then in the last few months, he's been electric. I've been watching West Ham, obviously, because taking a close eye on our relegation rivals, and he has been phenomenal. More than that, when he's not been playing, West Ham don't seem half as good when he's not there. So he's a major element to their attack. And when they've got that dual threat of Bowen and Summerville, they look a completely different team. They seem to really lack threat when Summerville's not there. So looking at the impact he's making, clearly he's really grown into that role at West Ham and become one of their main attackers and is doing really well at the moment. Not necessarily say I would sign him for Tottenham. I mean, at his best, he is a very good player, and we've seen that. And some of the goals he's been scoring have been brilliant goals. So maybe this is a guy who's still 24, as you can see, who is coming into his own at the moment, and maybe we should look at him. I probably would look at him. I don't think I would sign him as like our starting left winger, but I think if there's a good deal to be done there, I think I would look at it. But I don't think West Ham are going to give. I mean, they did give us a decent deal with Kudus, I guess, but
depends if they go down.
I mean, I'd rather get Matoma or something like that.
If they go down, there's no reason why we can't take him off their hands.
Yeah, but if we're believing this report, I doubt we're going to be the only club interested.
Yeah, well, this report does say we're not the only club interested,
Yeah.
but look, it all depends on what he wants as well. Does he want to stay in London? Does he want this? Does he want that? I think it all depends on who Spurs get rid of this summer as well. Let's say Tell wants to leave and he does leave this summer. That leaves the opportunity to go get a couple left wingers unless Mikey Moore comes back in the frame next season. I don't know. But like, let's say you go into next season as your two left wingers with Summerville and Moore. That's not good enough for me. Like
No.
we need better than that. And Summerville needs to be that kind of rotation option, not the guy that we have to rely on week in, week out, in my opinion. I like Summerville. I think like when he was at Leeds, I thought he was a really exciting prospect. When we spoke about him in January, I wasn't that convinced because he was just having such a poor season and scored a Premier League goal up until the point we had the interest. And then he's kind of done really well since then. So I wouldn't be mad at it, but I would be mad at it if he's our like only left winger option, basically.
Which I think will probably be the case. Because I don't know if we'll still tell this summer. Maybe we will, but I think we're still going to keep him on. He wouldn't be my first choice. He's kind of like down the list. He'll be maybe fifth or something.
Who's better, Tell or Summerville?
Who's
Surely
better?
Summerville.
Summerville's better at the moment, yeah.
Has he got a high ceiling?
Tell. It's tough to say. I think when Summerville was Tell's age, he was probably performing better, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Tell, you know, there's a lot of reasons why it hasn't quite worked at Tottenham. But I think he's been all right this season when he's played. I don't know. I think they're probably similar level, to be honest.
Yeah. We need better. We definitely need better. But look, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news that we have spoken about today.